Hey everybody, I'm Max Campbell. Let's jump into my current top 10 board games for 3 to 5 players. Starting off at number 10, it has to be Hansa Teutonica. Hansa Teutonica is a 2 to 5 player, area majority influence game with network and route building. Players act as traders trying to score points by building a network of offices, collecting bonus markers, controlling cities, or when other traders use the cities that they control. Hansa is one of those games that has several different routes to victory that leaves you wanting to come back to try all the different possibilities and just increasing its overall replayability. At its core, it's a rather simple game, but if you get a few competitive friends together, then each turn feels like chess, where you want to min-max each turn just to gain the edge. I highly recommend this for any board game enthusiast that wants an easy yet strategic game to jump right into. Number 9 is Brass Birmingham. Brass Birmingham is a 2 to 4 player network and route building type game with income and hand management baked into it. You jump into Birmingham during the Industrial Revolution between the years of 1770 and 1870. Each round, players take turns according to the turn order track, receiving 2 actions to perform any of the following actions: build, pay required resources and place an industry tile; network, add a rail, canal link, expanding your network; develop, increase the VP value of an industry; sell your cotton, manufactured goods, and pottery; loan, take a loan, reduce your income; scout, discard 3 cards and take a wild location and a wild industry card. This game is definitely not for your beginner and has quite the weight to it as a whole. The level of macro play in this game is so satisfying and each turn feels very rewarding, which makes the rather extended playtime still feel enjoyable. There is a reason why this game is rated number 1 overall on Board Game Geek. I suggest this if you want a heavy-weighted strategy game to try out and add to your collection, but be ready for at least a 3 to 4, maybe even 5-hour gaming session. Number 8 is Near and Far. Near and Far is a route building and narrative choice type game by Ryan Laukat. You and up to 3 friends explore many different maps in the search for the last ruin, recruiting adventures, hunting for treasure, and competing to be the most storied traveler. You must collect food, equipment at town for long journeys to mysterious locations. Make sure to equip yourself to fight off bandits, living statues, and inevitably, rusty robots. Sometimes in your travels, you'll run into something unique and one of your friends will have to read what happens to you from a book of stories, giving you a choice of how to react, creating a new and memorable tale each time you play. Near and Far is a game that not enough people have had the pleasure to enjoy, which took its predecessor above and below to even greater heights by adding a legacy option to the game. A legacy game is a campaign where permanent changes are made to the game state and carried forward from session to session. If you've never had the opportunity to play a legacy game, this is a great entry to that genre, and the narrative elements to the game makes for a super fun and unique experience. Number 7 is Blood Rage. Blood Rage is a 2 to 4 player area majority and area movement style game with card play conflict resolution. Each player controls their own Viking clan's warriors, leader, and ship. You can invade, pillage the land for its rewards, crush your opponents in epic battles, attempting a pillage, fulfill quests, increase your clan's stats, or even die either in battle or from Ragnarok. Blood Rage is definitely a competitive game where you'll be forced to battle your friends and potentially make some enemies along the way. Something that's just cool about being able to play as a Viking and invoke the different Norse gods and get stronger within the 3 ages in which you play. The game is definitely not for the faint of heart and can be pretty ruthless, but it's always a great time. And with the fun IP, you'll be looking forward to the next game almost right away. For number 6, I'm going with Keyflower. Keyflower is a worker placement game and auction bidding style game with a lot of other really neat and unique elements baked in. It's a game for 2 to 6 players played over 4 rounds. Each round represents a season: spring, summer, autumn, and finally winter. Each player starts the game with a home tile and an initial team of 8 workers, each of which is colored red, yellow, or blue. Workers of matching colors are used by the players to bid for tiles to add to their villages. Matching workers may alternatively be used to generate resources, skills, and additional workers, not only from the player's own tiles, but also from the tiles in other players' villages and from the new tiles being auctioned. This game can look a bit daunting due to the amount of places and shifting of resources, but BGG gives it a medium level weight, which I have to agree with because at its core the game can get rather simple once you get going. I played this game back to back due to just how much fun I had. You never really feel like you're losing at any point, and the win conditions can be pretty tight, making you want to dive back in just to try a different strategy almost right away. Number 5 is Kemet, Blood and Sand, which is a 2 to 5 player area majority and area movement style game with card play conflict resolution. In Kemet, players each deploy the troops of an Egyptian tribe and use the mystical powers of the gods of ancient Egypt, along with their powerful armies, in order to score points in glorious battles or through invasion of rich territories. A game is typically played to 8 or 10 victory points, which may be accrued through winning attacks, controlling temples, controlling fully developed pyramids, sacrificing to the gods, and wielding particular magical powers. This game promotes constant battles each round, so you never have a dull moment. If you enjoy games like Blood Rage, Scythe, or Root, this game has a place on your shelf. Number 4 is Dune Imperium, which is a 2 to 4 player game that uses deck building to add a hidden information angle to traditional worker placement. If you're a fan of the Dune movies or books, then this game will definitely pique your interest. It blends worker placement with deck building so nicely, and then each player has a unique ability associated to a known Dune character that adds a fun element to the game. The game isn't overly complex, which helps the overall time played down to a reasonable amount. Number 3 is Kingsport Festival, which is a 3 to 5 player dice rolling worker placement type game. It lasts 12 rounds, each divided into 6 phases. All cultists roll their dice, and the one that rolled the lowest sum will play first, and so on. Then in turn order, each one may invoke an elder god. This is a great introductory game, as the game loop is rather simplified and the dice rolling element can create a fun interaction, since who doesn't enjoy rolling dice? Playtime isn't overly long and feels well paced. It also manages to create quite a bit of replayability, as the core game stays the same, but each time you play, there are key aspects of the game that really throw a wrench into how you would develop a strategy. All in all, I've continuously come back to this one and don't hear enough people bring this one up. Number 2 is Wingspan, which is a 2 to 5 player competitive engine building board game with a primarily card driven aspect to it. Gain food tokens via custom dice in a bird feeder dice tower, lay eggs using egg miniatures in a variety of colors, draw from hundreds of unique bird cards and play them. Wingspan takes everything I love about terraforming Mars and turns it into a somewhat expedited experience while lending a fun subject matter to experience just birds being played as the key part of the game. We ended up just nicknaming the game the Bird Game, and it's definitely a must-have on your gaming shelf. And finally, number 1 is Tyrants of the Underdark, which is a 2 to 4 territory control game with a deck building element. Players gain points by controlling sites, recruiting valuable minions, promoting minions to your inner circle, and assassinating troops. And whoever ends the game with the most points wins. If you know me, I'm a huge fan of Tyrants. It's the perfect blend of hand management, strategy, and worker placement that's married together with this perfect playing time, which helps to not wear out its welcome. I always highly recommend this game to any new player, as the barrier to entry is minimal, but the enjoyment and replayability factor is so vast. This just checks all the boxes for me, and I wish it had more expansions to further enhance the game, but as it rests, it's still at the top for me. Now this is my top 10, but I could see anyone making a case to shuffle the order around or even replace a few for some of the more standard monumental games. My personal honorable mentions, to just add a few, would be games like Terraforming Mars, Concordia, Fractured Sky, Root, Seven Wonders. I love Red Rising. I mean, honestly, the list can go on, so I'll just stop there. But that will have to do it for this video. I look forward to the new games I start playing this year, which will inevitably shuffle things around. I plan to revisit this list as the time flies by, so stay tuned for more, and as always, thanks for watching.